Okay, everybody, it's Tuesday. So, still carrying on with our Beowulf. What we're going to do first is we're going to read pages 7 to 9. So, obviously, if you happen to have the book, then obviously you can follow along or just read it yourself. I have attached copies of these pages on the Home Learning Hub, so you can just read them yourself. But I am going to read it to you as well now, just so you have the option to hear it read out loud. I will say now, some of the words in here are a bit hard to pronounce. So I have done the best I can with a bit of help from Google, playing it to me, how to pronounce the words. So hopefully they're as accurate as I can make them. They might not be perfect, but by all means, go and have a little Google yourself, and you can hear some of the words be pronounced on Google for you as well. So while you are reading or listening to pages 7 to 9, have your book out, and you can just write down any little notes as you go if you would like to. But what we're particularly thinking about in these first 3 pages is, what does the land of Denmark sound like? Does it sound like a nice place, a horrible place? But you'll be having to, afterwards, you'll need to justify why you think that. So a bit like in a reading comprehension, saying why you think something and then backing it up with evidence. So don't just say, for example, don't just say Denmark sounds like a horrible place and then leave it there. Well, why do you think that? What is said in the text that makes you think that it is a horrible place, for example? So that's going to be job number 1. So again, make sure you've got a piece of paper and a pencil or pen or whatever. So pages 7 to 9. And here we go. Like I said, you're going to have copies of these on the Home Learning Hub as well. And again, please forgive my pronunciation of some of these words. So this is the first, as I said to you yesterday, there's 3 stories in this Michael Morpurgo book. We're reading Beowulf and Grendel, the Monster of the Night. And there are 2 more that come with this. Okay. So hear and listen well, my friends, and I will tell you a tale that has been told for 1,000 years and more. It may be an old story, yet as you will discover, it troubles and terrifies us now as much as it did our ancestors, for we still fear the evil that stalks out there in the darkness and beyond. We know that each of us in our time, in our own way, must confront our fears and grapple with this monster of the night, who, given a chance, would invade our homes and even our hearts if he could. So roll back the years now, back to the 5th century after the birth of Christ, and come with me over the sea to the Norse lands we now know as Sweden and Norway and Denmark, to the ancient Viking lands of the Danes and the Geats, the Angles and the Jutes. This will be our here and now, as this tale of courage and cruelty unfolds, as brave Beowulf battles with the forces of darkness, first with that foul fiend Grendel, then with his sea hag of a mother, and last of all with the death dragon of the deep. The story begins as all stories do, before it begins, for there is always a mother before a mother, and a king before a king. In Denmark, all of the great lords, those royal descendants of Scyld, that great and good king, followed in his footsteps and stayed strong against their foes and loyal to their friends. The kingdom prospered. From their conquests, the land grew rich, so that the people flourished and were happy. Feared by their enemies, loved by their allies, the kingdom of the Danes became great and powerful in the world. Then the Lord Hrothgar came to the throne, son of the old king Healfdene, great-grandson of Scyld, and he was to become the greatest warrior king of them all. Fierce in battle, he fetched back home more treasures from his conquests than had ever been seen or even dreamt of in Denmark. But he was generous too, and a good father to his people, so that they obeyed him always gladly. Hearing of his increasing glories and battles, more and more warriors came to join him. It seemed to them and to him there could never be an end to all his power and wealth. The kingdom was safe from its enemies, the people warm at their hearths and well fed. Truly, it was a land of sweet content. To celebrate these years of prosperity and plenty, Hrothgar decided he would raise for his people a huge mead hall. It must, he declared, be larger and more splendid than any mead hall ever built. Only the finest timbers were used, only the finest craftsmen. At Hrothgar's bidding, they came from all over Denmark to construct it, so that in no time at all the great hall was finished. It was truly even more magnificent than he had ever imagined it could be. Heorot, he called it. And at the first banquet he gave there, Hrothgar, by way of thanks, gave out to each and every person rings and armbands of glowing gold. No king could have been kinder, no people as proud and as happy. Night after night they feasted in Heorot and listened to the music of the harp and song of the poet. And every night the poet told them that story they most loved to hear, how God had made the earth in all its beauty, its mountains and meadows, skies and seas. Seas and skies. How he had made the sun and the moon to light it, the corn and the trees to grow on it, how he gave life and being to every living creature that crawls and creeps and moves on land or in the sea or in the air. And man too he made to live in this paradise. Around the warming hearth they listened to the poet's story, enraptured, enthralled, and entranced. Okay, that's pages 7 to 9. This is the first little thing you need to do now. What does the land of Denmark sound like? But again, justify that with some evidence. So you might want to stop at this point and go and look at some of the pictures of these that we've just read. So you can actually go back and quote some things from the text. So next thing we're going to do, we're going to read page 10 now. And this is where we are introduced to Grendel, who we had mentioned in the title of this story. We're then going to have a little think about how the mood changes as Grendel is introduced. So whatever mood it is at the beginning, it's going to change now. And I'd like you to have a little think, and you can write this down as well, about who do you think Grendel is, and make a prediction of why you think that he is so enraged and upset by the Danes' happiness. So we'll have a little read of page 10. There we go. There was another listener. Outside the walls of Heorot, in the dim and the dark, there stalked an enemy from hell itself, the monster Grendel, sworn enemy of God and men alike, a beast born of evil and shame. He heard that wondrous story of God's creation, and because it was good, it was hateful to his ears. He heard the sweet music of the harp, and afterwards the joyous laughter echoing through the hall as the mead horn was passed around. Nothing had ever so enraged this beast, as night after night he had to listen to all this happiness and harmony. It was more than his evil heart could bear. So, who do we think Grendel is? Why do you think he's so upset by the happiness that he's hearing every day? And then another little extra thing here for you to do. What do we know about Grendel purely from that description? What do we know about him from this? And you'll see in the corner of the page, there's a tiny bit here. This is part of Grendel. I haven't taken a picture of the next page, which has a full picture of Grendel, but just have a little look at that picture as well. What do you think about it?